Hello everyone. Native English Video Dictionary.
Hi, my name is Alisa and I'm a native English speaker from the US. This video is made exclusively for English Video Dictionary. So let's talk about the word vernacular. So vernacular simply refers to the language or dialect that is spoken by ordinary people in a particular country or in a particular region. That is the way that it is usually used. It can also be used to refer to architecture. So this would be different styles or types of architecture that are used for places where people either live or work. So we're not talking about things like monuments. And this would refer to specific types of architecture like classical or Victorian or Gothic, so those styles. That's not usually how you'll hear or see this word used. It is usually used when we're talking about language, and it's often used in certain circles where the way that different kinds of people speak is important. So like I said, this can refer to people with different countries and even within different regions that are in those countries. So for example, I'm American, I speak English, but the English that I speak is a little bit different than what you're going to hear in England. Our slang is definitely different, and even just the way we phrase certain things is a little bit different. And that English is different than the English that you're going to hear in other English-speaking countries like Canada or Australia or New Zealand or Ireland. I hope I'm not forgetting anybody. But everywhere you go, every English-speaking country, the vernacular is a little bit different. And then within those countries, you also have different vernaculars. So I live in the Northeast in the US, and I have family that lives in the South, and they have a different vernacular. Sometimes I don't even know some of the things they are saying because they also have a different accent on top of that, and it can get a little confusing. So depending on where you are, people are going to speak a little bit differently. Now, generally speaking, no matter where you are in any sort of English-speaking country, people are going to understand the majority of what you're saying. 99% of the time, if you're just speaking to someone in a normal way, they're going to know what you're saying. The vernacular is not that different, but different regions, different countries like to throw in some extra phrases, some different slang. They might want to word something a little bit differently. It's just kind of their flavor and the little twist that they put on the language. This is something that happens in all countries, so it's probably something that you're pretty familiar with. So you might say something like, the vernacular that they speak in Canada is pretty similar to the vernacular that they speak in the majority of the US. That's totally true. We're neighbors and our English is pretty much the same. But you might say the vernacular they speak in England is completely different than the vernacular they speak in Canada. That's not really totally true. Canadians and English people totally understand each other, but they do have a different vernacular. And then, like I said, you might do it regionally within a country. So the vernacular that they speak in the Midwest is a little bit different than the vernacular that we speak here in the Northeast. So you can also use this word if you're talking about translators or interpreting things. And this is where vernacular actually becomes really important, because if you're in a country and you need someone to translate for you, or you need someone to interpret for you, it's very important that they speak the vernacular of the region that you're in, because you're gonna wanna mix in, you're gonna wanna understand those little nuances that people say when they're just being totally casual with their friends. So that's where vernacular really comes into play. So you might say something like, I need a translator that speaks the specific vernacular of this specific region. So some synonyms for vernacular are colloquial, native speech, jargon, and dialect. Some antonyms are formal, uncommon, and Latin. All right, that is it for vernacular. Thanks for watching.